So good morning, everyone. Welcome to New Orleans and NWFA Convention. And this is a beautiful crowd. This is a real nice turnout. We really appreciate it. You guys stopping by the demo theater today. I will try. I got triple mic today, so I will try my best to not get any feedback or anything else. But my name is Zach Clavin, and I work with the product management team at Bona, focused on our professional products. And with me on stage here are two friends and colleagues, Mr. John Mace, who contracted for 20 plus years up the West Coast in California and the Pacific Northwest, where he did inspections for about 10 plus years as well. He's probably been with Bona about seven years. And then Mr. Robbie Smith, third generation contractor out of the Virginias. Currently a territory manager for, I believe, just the Virginias, right? And some else, and a little bit more. And today we are really excited, and I think a lot of you guys know why. But actually, before I even say that, I want to say that when it comes to questions on this launch, we'll try to save some room at the end of the demonstration for that, just so we can make sure we get through all of the features and benefits with this. And if we don't, there are plenty of Bona people here, so if you have questions, stop by our booth or come ask us, but we'll hang around after the demo for a little bit. So today we are really excited to introduce a new revolutionary way to color a hardwood floor that is much safer, a greener alternative that also has very rich and robust colors, and that is Bona Chroma, our waterborne wood floor coloration system. Everything at Bona, we try to work as a system so everything works together. And we'll go right into the features on this product, and about halfway through, John and Robbie will start the application to show you those steps and how it differs from traditional oil modified stains today. But number one with Chroma, and the reason we're here today is because it's an easy to use formula. If we can't provide you with an easy to use product, then you can't get paid and you can't finish the job. So we wouldn't be here today. And we know that this product is a very user-friendly, does not require any special skills, especially ones that you guys don't already possess out there. So very, very, very easy. But the thing is, in our industry, it's very traditional, right? So we get used to doing the same thing every day because that's what gets us paid. But we also know that times are changing. I've been at Bona 20 years, and we've been asked for stain this entire time. And my excuse why we didn't have it is because we needed it to be user-friendly. That's what Bona wants. Those are the products that we like to put out there, something that you guys can rely on and get paid for. Low VOC. So this has a max 250 grams per liter, which makes it compliant across all 50 states and Canada. It all comes in 1 gallon, so no more quart batching for anybody who resides in a VOC restricted market today. Fast dry time, and that's pretty much common with all water-based products because they all relatively do dry quick. And when I say fast dry time, we're saying 2 to 3 hours, but it's reliable, it's consistent. You know with waterborne products that if you have bad drying conditions, you're maybe looking at another hour or two, not another day or two. And so with Chroma, you can confidently coat over that after a few hours and not question whether, is it dry down the cracks? Is it going to give me adhesion issues? So very consistent and a big change from oil modified, because we know with those, depending on the color, darker stains tend to have, quite a bit longer dry time. And so with Chroma, all of our colors, no matter how dark or light they are, have a 2 to 3 hour dry time. Works with the full Bona system. So products like Red Out, which we introduced maybe a year or two ago, compatible with this to achieve proper colors, and then with our finishing system. And this is probably the first time since I've been at Bona, and probably ever, that we can offer a truly full waterborne system. In the past, we could offer that, but that didn't include stain. Anytime we had to add color to a floor, required an oil modified product. So when we're selling to our customers, there was always that kind of, you know, we have the system, but there's this product in the middle that doesn't provide that solvent-free smell and odor in the house. Colors, all blendable together. And also, you guys all in the chairs have this little pamphlet. This is all the resources that we've put together in preparation for the launch of Chroma that has FAQs, best practices, and this, our stain blend chart. So we only have 9 colors today for launch, and that ranges from all the, you know, dark browns, light browns, red, white, gray, everything. But we wanted to put together a list of both dry fast stain blends, both non-water popped and water popped, that a few of our guys in product management have worked on over the years, plus additional colors just from some of the competitive popular colors from Duracell and whatnot. Non-yellowing formula. So when products are on the floor, it's always hard. You may look at the floor and say, it's yellow. It could be the wood, it could be the stain, it could be the finishes used. So it's not as much of an issue when you're dealing with brown tones and some of the darker colors. But when it comes to whites and grays and things like that, which we're kind of still in, kind of coming out of that trend, you don't want a product that's going to yellow and, you know, get you a call back. Not because it's your fault, but because the products themselves are ambering and yellowing over time. Chroma will not do that. No bleed back. You can definitely get excess product of anything in the cracks, but bleed back from an oil modified standpoint of slow dry times, it wicking back up to the surface and you having to go back in and repair and touch up those areas, you're not going to get that with Chroma either. And the product's all water cleanup. So no need for any, you know, spirits or any additional solvents to clean up materials. And all the tools can be rinsed out with water, at least the roller and the rags. So rinsed out with water, and honestly, the roller, like I have some samples. You hold those up, Robbie. This is, you know, you can clean out the roller, reuse them for certain colors, and then the rags themselves can be reused, maybe just for like an adhesive job or just general cleanup, but they definitely don't have to be thrown away. So a little bit more sustainable of an option with Chroma. Low to no odor. You guys will see here in a few minutes that there is virtually no odor with Chroma, and you'll find that actually our finishes have more of a smell than Chroma does. There's pretty much nothing in here, but we all have those customers that pick up on something. You know, they have superhuman sense, and they're going to smell something. So we can't say no odor, but definitely it's going to be a nice option in high rises, multi-unit family dwellings and stuff. And just being able to sell to your customer one extra day that you don't have that smell in the house. And something when we were developing this product and testing it with certain contractors out there, was one contractor mentioned how he could go home at the end of the day and play with his kids and not feeling like he's contaminating the air and hurting his family. So, you know, you're not going to come home with that stink. So no solvents, no stinky solvents. And then GreenGuard Gold certified. So GreenGuard Gold is much more stringent than just regular GreenGuard certification. Looks at a whole different list of chemicals, and it really focuses on children and the elderly. And it used to be called GreenGuard for children in schools. Now it's GreenGuard Gold. And that also gives us our first full GreenGuard Gold system. They're using Chroma, our Bona Clear Seal, and our Traffic HD family products, all GreenGuard Gold. And then non-flammable. I'm sure there's been a lot of scares. I know there have been in the industry. This is a reality. And I believe just 2 days ago in Wood Floor Business, there was another article of a multi-family unit burning down because of stain rags that weren't properly taken care of. So I think this is huge. And I know in this industry, I mean, workers come and go. I don't know if it'll help your insurance premiums if you're not using oil modified, but it will give you peace of mind to get some shut-eye at night, not wondering if a rag was left in the corner of a room on a job. Because, you know, our helpers don't always know the ins and out of all these products and stuff, so that would stress me out. But with Chroma, you don't have that stress at all. So from a product assortment, we have 9 colors and clear. So as I mentioned, they range from kind of all the colors that you need to make blends if you need to, but being a waterborne product, we have a clear that has no pigment that is used to dilute it down, because with water you start at the most intense color, unlike oil where you start lighter and you water pop to get darker. This is the opposite. So our clear is not intended to be used as a stain. It's just to blend other colors and dilute them down. So 9 colors plus clear. Now, from a technical perspective, so Chroma is a 2-component product, and there is a reason for that. So it uses a part B, which is called our coloration additive, and the purpose of this product is to lock in the color. Because as over the years of developing this, sure, we wanted a 1-component product, but the difficulty is you get a product that was really easy to apply, but then when you applied water products on top, the color just went away. And then you had ones that are so hard to apply, then you can't get paid. So with this part B, we kind of found that middle ground, and we're all used to doing some mixing of products out there. So coloration additive and the Chroma, 20-to-1 ratio or 5%. And then it gives you a 24-hour pot life. It'll stay liquid for days and days. It's not gonna like harden up or do anything like that. But there is a window where, you know, we would recommend you get the product on the floor first. But 24 hours should be enough to, if you gotta go back in and fix something or do anything, that plenty of time there. And then it requires a sealer. So this Chroma is just providing color to the floor. There is no film building properties to it. It's just coloring the floor. So we do recommend adding any of our sealers except for Classic Seal. That's kind of the black sheep of the sealers, and it's the same with our dry fast stain. We don't recommend that with it. But any of our other sealers, so if you wanted to use our Nordic Seal or Natural Seal, the white sealers over, you know, like the Winter, which is our white Chroma color, or the smoky gray, some of those lighter colors, you can do that. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend those over any of the brown tones. It's not a good look. But then Clear Seal, Intense Seal, Amber Seal can be used over all the other ones. Now, before I pass it over to these guys, talking about floor prep. The panel here, we sanded it to 120 grit, same as we would do for any of our other systems, using a waterborne sealer or stain. Tampico brush, which is just the best tool you might not be using today. The best tool for waterborne products, because it cleans out that dust that a vacuum and tacking will not. It will slick off your floor so it has a shine to it. It's not burnishing it, it's just showing you how dirty floors really are with dust that leads to grain raise and everything else. So Tampico brush. But something we didn't do is water pop. Who here today water pops when staining? On like all jobs? Yes. So when I started, water popping was an extra step. Nobody wanted to do it. It was like, oh, time, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, well, it's free, you know, it's not a big deal. And it achieved, you know, those darker colors with stains that at the time were really popular. And now it's just become a standard because, yes, it gives you better colors, but it also gives you just a more uniform look across the floor. Well, with Chroma, it's a waterborne product. So the water is the tool, and the tool is in the product itself. So you will be water popping the floor as you apply the product. So you're eliminating the step of water popping and the dry times that go with it. The time of the floor is sensitive, whether it's your consumers still living on the floor and you tell them to stay off, but they don't. And now you got to fix it, and you got to fix it, you got to water pop it again. It's just, it adds a lot of time to the job, and time is money. Higher consumption of stain. So any time you water pop a floor, that coverage rate on the can is not accurate, because now it's accepting a lot more stain, and now that drives my dry time somewhere. I don't know what the dry time is at that point, but it's going to elongate that dry time. And then repairs. There's always going to be repairs. I mean, we know that on any job, whether it's just something missed in the sanding procedure, that there's always going to be that. And when the floor is water popped, you have to repair it, do the water popping in those different stages. Now you can fix your scratches or whatever's problem in the floor as you're staining, and just keep going, because that step is happening all at the same time. All right, so I'm gonna pass it over to these guys. We'll start the application of Chroma, talk about it a little bit, and then I'll take my breath and I'll come back in a second.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks everybody for being here. We're gonna demonstrate barnwood, one of the colors. And before I start with any contractor showing them this, I like to go over a few key concepts just to help them get in the right frame of mind. First of all, don't overthink it. It's a pretty simple process that follows the same basic three-step system of any stain job you've ever done. We're going to apply a bulk amount. We're going to remove some of that bulk amount. We're going to bone dry it. Whether you rag on, rag off, buff on, buff off, it's always the same thing. The tools that we're going to use are the same tools that you already use in your flooring career. We've got a roller, we got a cut-in pad, we've got the buffer and a white pad and terry towels. And then lastly, the strategy that we're going to use is the same as you would use in any other on-site process, whether you're staining or putting finish down. You talk about where you're going to start, where you're going to stop. With this, you don't necessarily have to stop perfectly on a line. You want to be kind of, close to the edge of a board, but it's forgiving enough that you can have you don't have to, get really kind of like super detailed and put tape down or anything like that. So with that being said, we're going to get going. One thing, I don't know if Zach, did you cover this, but you want to put it on kind of like you're putting on a thin coat of paint, such that like when you first put it on, maybe the grain isn't quite visible, but within a minute or even less, it becomes apparent that you can see the grain again. It's a perfect amount. So I like to call it a flood amount, but because that's just sort of a visual that is appropriate. It's a liberal amount of stain.
The tools needed for application, again, going to differ a little bit than oil. You see John's going to start with just a trim pad, cut-in pad, you still got to do areas the buffer and the roller may not be able to reach by hand. You'll be using a roller. We recommend our white 3/8 microfiber roller for the proper application. Do have a white pad, white polishing pad. We sell one ourselves, and then the 3M pad works really well as well. And then a tack mop and some terry towels, and that step we'll get to in a second, but nothing crazy. And I know John said this before, that the only thing you guys probably might not have done before is maybe a roller, because some guys like T-barring. But the rolling it's like painting a wall. It's not quite the same as putting on finish, but what is the same is feathering. And that's with any product in our industry. That's with any step, whether it's sanding, whether it's scraping, whether it's putting down sealer, finish, staining, everything. It's all best practices, right? To feather and minimize the chance for a callback. You can get by doing shortcuts and things all the time, and you get away with it, but it's that one time that sneaks back, and then it's like, what happened here? So They rolled it on, and you could see that there isn't much of a dwell time you need. This popping, this saturation, and this color is achieved pretty much instantly. So you can pretty much just kind of leapfrog from one step to the next. One fully saturated roller is approximately 24 square feet, just to give you a number of when you're using the proper amount. And what they've done is, a few feet down, depending on the length of the room. I mean, you could do 24 square feet, so you can do a 2 by 12 run, whatever works for you. But immediately after the product is rolled on, what Robbie came in and did is take a tack mop with just some terry towels underneath, just to remove some of the excess product for a few reasons. One is, when you get to buffing it, you don't want a lot of product on the surface, and then you start flinging it, and then you miss a spot, and you got to fix that later. So that's one reason. The other reason is to extend the life of the pads that you're using to buff it, so that you're not just wasting pads over and over. So you're kind of starting by removing that excess, and you're also starting to blend in some of the edges and stuff. Now on this first run, they took it wall to wall, and this is an 8 by 12 panel. We figured 12 feet, let's call it like close to an average length of a wall. And we'll show you on the next run where we stop in the middle to show, because when this was developed, we were working in pretty much as individuals, whether it was John, Robbie, myself, Benji's out in the crowd somewhere, working in sections this big. And so our goal, because we need user-friendly, right? We don't want to just show you that during a demo it can look good, but that you can truly have success with this product, that you can stop in the middle of the floor and blend that in. And I think, as John mentioned, you don't have to be super clean and stay to an edge, and tape it off or do anything like that. It's very forgiving. And so now on this run, they're going to stop in the middle. John's going to feather up all those strokes, again, trying to relieve any hard lines that could show up later. Now, how's the smell? Stinks?
You can probably pull off a little more.
Can you smell it at all? The tacking step, very, very simple. You can go multiple directions. It's not really a big deal. You're just removing excess. So nothing super technical with that. But if you see where Robbie kind of ended that, he kind of extended that hard line out to kind of give, some fingers, so that when they do their next section, you kind of got that natural blending effect in there. Now, just to talk about a few other things with Chroma as these guys keep working. Ragging on, ragging off. That's probably the wrong terminology, but the question is like, can you rag on, rag this off? And yes, I mean, you're gonna do that in areas you can't reach with the buffer and stuff, all the edges, and you will get the same color. You'll get the same difference. The only difference, I wouldn't rag it on. That's the only difference from oil, because rags are good at removing, they're not the best at applying. A little different with oil stains, but with Chroma I would use still a paint pad, or obviously you could use a roller by hand to apply it, but you can remove that by hand as well. Grain raise. We all know with waterborne products, grain raise it's real, right? It's out there. With Chroma, because of this process, the buffing process, that floor will be smooth. And this is, even once you put your sealer on there, you will have less, it won't have any grain raise. Anywhere you buffed will be nice and smooth. And actually oil that's water popped will have more grain raise than this. So no additional prep before you put sealer on or after that sealer. You kind of mitigate all that just because of the application process. Walking on Bona. So earlier I mentioned that there is no film building properties in this product, which means I can't really leave like a footprint that's gonna, in the resin of an oil modified that'll dry hard. Now I gotta sand it to fix that. And it dries so quick because of the buffing action and stuff, you'll see on their next run that they're just going to turn around and walk on the chroma. So this changes the game when it comes to coating strategy and exit strategies, because, or hallways and areas that are very difficult with a crew of people trying to stay in a floor and stay off the stain. Now you can just flip around, do your thing. It makes it much easier, and you're not going to damage the stain floor. Best practice, always wear booties or towels, but you know, we're just trying to make a point. Talked about repairs because you don't have the water popping, so that's one layer of prep you don't have to do. Repairs, if they're noticed during the application process, fix them as you're staining and keep moving. Repairs otherwise, because we get this question a lot, it's the same as with anything, with oil stain. If you got a scratch, you got to sand it out, chase the grain, minimize the impact or the area that you're trying to repair. So nothing special with chroma, except for if it's like a real mild repair, like a little bit of excess or something. Damp towel, sometimes not even damp, you can get that to be removed. And you can kind of manipulate the color with just a damp rag as well. So it's a little different, but it's actually, I think, quite a bit easier. Baseboard cleanup, that's another one. I've seen plenty of homes with baseboards that are coated the same color on the floor, and that's not on purpose. But chroma, so this board here, dry fast stain on the right, which we know we need spirits to get that off, and then that could damage the paint. Chroma, very easily, this has probably been on this for about a month, that you can easily clean it off. Not saying to wait a month before you go back and clean up the base, but very easy to clean up. Tone adjustment. How many of you guys consistently have customers that no matter what you do, how many samples you show, when you're done staining, something's not right, it's off. They want it a little darker, they want something different. It seems to happen no matter what, and I don't think it's anybody's fault, but that's always a common concern or issue that you have to deal with. And that can get you in trouble sometimes, because you may go in there and try to add like a second layer of stain or trick wipe or do something that could lead to adhesion failure or something else, which leads to a resand. With this, you can add 3% of chroma, not the part B, but just the part A, into our intense seal, and you can do a very thin coat of a sealer, like very thin coat, just to adjust the color to get you out of a jam. All right. So at this point, I'd like to open it up to any questions you guys might have. Yes, sir. So the question is, how soon can you put finish down? And that is 2 to 3 hours. 2 to 3 hours later, you can put sealer. First coat of sealer, you got to do that, and then you're finished. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Sorry, say that again.
Only 24 square feet at a time?
Nope. So the question is, do you only do 24 square feet at a time? Not necessarily. The 24 square feet is just when you fully saturate a roller, to give you an idea of how much you should be putting on. I mean, I wouldn't just roll the whole room on with product and then come back, because it'll start to get tacky on the surface. So you still want to work in sections, just like you do with oil. Same thing, it's just the the steps are a little different, but very easy. Sir?
Sure says you use Bona Amber or Bona Intense. Won't that change the color of that floor?
Intense won't. Sorry. So the question was, in the pamphlet there, it says use Intense Seal or Amber Seal. Since that was made, we've introduced Clear Seal as well. There's no color actually in Intense Seal. thing with intense seal, so it won't actually add color, but it reacts with the wood, the tannins, and it brings out color, but there is no color actually in the product. Not the same for amber seal though. Anybody else? Yes, sir. What's that? So can you use carpet? I'll tell you what, when we started with this, we sure tried it a lot because we knew it would be easier for acceptance of a product like this if you can just go in with the same thing you're doing today, carpet, put it on, carpet, remove. One thing with carpet is there's a lot of variance in carpets. Some will get you in trouble, it'll remove too much color. Doesn't mean there isn't carpet that will work, but there's too many variables, and from Bona's perspective, we wanted to put a system out there that we know works. And the white pads, there's kind of a couple things it helps do is one, it keeps it cooler. It's not gonna heat up and be quite as aggressive in that sense. And the other one I forgot, so good question though. Anybody else?
We got a question here.
Yes, sir.
With a sweat drip, or if it's rain outside and wet footprint, does it blend in because the rain's already popping the product?
So the question is, what happens if let's say I sweat on the raw wood or like a wet footprint, so you've water popped it, no issue. Because once you put this on there, it's all gonna even out. Now if I sweat on this, like a finished, I would just blot it with like a towel lightly. If you go scrubbing, because it's water and it's fresh, you might be able to remove some color, but. Anybody else? No? Good? Okay, well, you guys, appreciate everyone stopping by. Please come visit our booth, 1714. We've got plenty of people to answer any questions if they do come up later. All of the chroma, all of our marketing pieces have a QR code on them that you can scan. That'll take you to a landing page. It has all the info on it, all the documentation, everything. Thank you guys. Enjoy the show.